I am. It's the on-campus kingpin. Yes, I am.
Eagle Sessions, Gayle Saunders talking about the big move of firing Chip Kelly in Philadelphia. I mean, Eagle fans across the world, across the globe, across the United States were talking up a storm last night as Chip Kelly was trending on Twitter. I mean, big news. I mean, your jaw must have been dropped. I was on my way home from work, about to get ready for the Eagle Twitter Awards, which were amazing, by the way. Hats off to you guys that won, and hats off to the guys that pulled that off last night. That was pretty dope. But getting back to Chip Kelly, big news. And when you talk about Chip Kelly, you talk about Chip Kelly, big ball Chip Kelly. Let's talk about big balls Jeff Lurie. Lurie pulled off a move that pundits were saying wouldn't happen. I mean, he gave Andy Reid 14 years here in Philadelphia, and they were saying that, they're going to give Chip Kelly one more year. But obviously, Lurie saw the writing on the wall and had to do what he had to do. For the Eagles to let go of Chip Kelly the way they did before the end of the season speaks volumes. They let him walk when they got to pay him 12 and some change to walk. That means, obviously there was a disconnect, and we're probably going to learn more and more about our Eagles and what was going on behind the scenes. But you really got to give hats off to Jeffrey Lurie for stepping up and taking control of his organization. When he talked about, in his press conference, he talked about emotional intelligence. You're talking about a guy like Chip Kelly who, perception is not a big deal to him, but for some, perception is reality. And it was really setting the tone for this organization. Things were out of whack. But it does tell you something about Chip Kelly's ability to connect with his players and some of his staff. But you're looking at a guy like Chip Kelly who, it was really mismanagement 101. He really mismanaged his team, whether it be his coaches, his GM duties, resources, paying money to players who didn't deserve it, bringing free agents, high-priced free agents into the locker room and paying them big loads of money versus paying some of the guys that were already on his roster, like a guy like Fletcher Cox. But if you don't really understand locker room dynamics, those kind of things can do something to your locker room. So, I mean, obviously, you got to understand what was really going down with our Eagles. For them to get rid of Chip Kelly the way they did, there was a lot going on. You hear some words about Lane Johnson saying, they were practicing every day like they were practicing in OTAs all the way up into the end of the season. Other players have voiced that opinion, whether it be Kerry Williams. But, players do get injured. You have to be able to, last the season. And some of these guys, you look at our defense, a defense that looked tired, a defense that looked banged up. But we could also blame that on Chip Kelly's offense. The biggest concern for me moving forward at the beginning of the season was how was Chip Kelly going to move into the third season. A lot of tape on Chip Kelly's offense. You saw the NFL catching up to Chip Kelly's offense. And the biggest thing and the biggest concern for me was Chip's ability to adapt. And you really didn't see Chip Kelly adapting to what was being thrown at him. I think rather than, him dictating what he was going to do, defenses were dictating what we were going to do, and they were shutting us down. Made some bold moves, bringing in Sam Bradford, giving up a second round when we had Foles and we were paying bare minimum. But he made the move. He wanted to get his franchise quarterback, and with Lurie giving him the GM abilities to do so, he also put the accountability on Chip. That's something that, looking at the season, Chip kind of put on his force field and really talked about executing. And execution was the big key word. His players weren't executing. But if you're the guy that brought these players in and they're not executing, Chip the GM has to take blame versus Chip the coach talking about execution all the time. You wear all those hats, Chip Kelly, and it really caught up to him. And Jeffrey Lurie said you want to take GM responsibilities, then you will be accountable for your actions, and that's where we are. And I really think as Eagle fans, like you can be at certain spectrums, whether it be Chip Kelly. You love everything about Chip Kelly, and you can really hate Chip Kelly. I really think as Eagle fans, you have to, realize we're Eagle fans, and we can clean the slate on that mess now, because Chip Kelly is gone. I mean, like at the beginning of the season, I've been sold on Chip Kelly, like a lot of you Eagle fans out there, and some of you guys feel duped. Don't feel duped. It just happens. A guy whose books, you read about Chip Kelly, you want to learn more about what Chip Kelly is doing for our Eagles. You want to embrace all that. I get it, but you really gotta just sit back and realize how bad he mismanaged. I jumped off the Chip ship mid-season because I really did not see the cohesiveness of a real team. I was really concerned about the locker room. I was really concerned about the 3 losses that we took earlier on in the season against the Dolphins, the Bucks, and the Detroit Lions. You're talking about teams, we're putting 40 burgers on our team. Our Eagles are getting blown out on primetime television. They ruined our Thanksgiving and our Christmas, folks. Obviously, if you were at Lincoln Financial Field, you'd see the thousands and thousands of people leaving the stadium at the end of the third quarter, the beginning in the fourth quarter. You don't think Lurie saw that? It's a business at the end of the day, folks. Also, give hats off to Lurie for realizing what he wants in his new head coach. I'm talking about a coach who understands the culture of Philadelphia, whether it being having a passionate fan base like the Eagles, because we are so passionate, and really dealing with the media and dealing with a hungry fan base who is desperate for a Super Bowl. You just can't come in here smug and act like you know everything and dismiss folks and dismiss either your players or the people underneath you. You got to be able to work well with other people, and I think that's one thing that Chip Kelly needed to work on. Eagle fans out there, how do you guys feel about this situation? It's been big news for the last 24 hours. Really want to know how you guys feel. Was it the right move getting rid of Chip Kelly? I want to know where you stand. I'm telling you, from my point of view, I thought it was time. It was time to move on from Chip Kelly. I thought if he would have won these last 2 games, got him to the playoffs, and set him off on the right foot, maybe something could have happened. But he did, Jeffrey Lurie must have really questioned Chip Kelly's ability to see this thing through. Gayle Saunders, living the dream, not as in dream team, but living the dream. And I'll see you guys soon. Check out Eagles Landing Podcast with Philadelphia and the mighty E-Rock and myself every week, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I'll see you guys there.